Alrighty, so welcome everyone to a proof of concept of something I'd like to call reeling in the theater. This is a very crude execution of a podcast series I'm very interested in making. And the whole idea is we're gonna dive headfirst into the bizarre side of the film industry. There will be absurd concepts that aren't intended to be taken too seriously, but they should still raise a few eyebrows. Now, before we go in, I'll provide some additional clarification for those who need it. This isn't a drama series. It's intended to be coverage on absurd and more lighthearted movie news. So we're not going to be talking about how Chris Pratt's wife died or whatever. We're not doing that. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's begin. So, today we're talking about Red One, the only Christmas movie to include Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saying, "The North Pole has been taken," because of macarons. Now, I would love to provide you with some additional context, but I can't, sadly. I don't have the time. So you're just going to have to watch the movie for yourself. Sorry. Now, many people who know of the film, describe it as Christmas, but if it were an MCU movie or a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. To anyone who isn't in the know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a series of interconnected films based on Marvel superhero comics, featuring countless crossovers with multiple phases and multiple film releases per year, or like every few years. Local consensus has the third phase of the MCU being one of or the best among the entire franchise. And this includes one of the greatest films among that series, Avengers Endgame, the finale of the franchise before it was essentially grave robbed, and now we live in a post Endgame world where content is just being pushed out. But more on that later. And there's just been a faster output of content, of said content, in various series placed on streaming sites such as Disney Plus, with the quality just getting worse and the writing getting lazier. A common complaint levied against the films, however, are that they cannot take themselves too seriously. Even a fan term has been made called Marvel humor, where a film is filled to the brim with obnoxious, nauseating references and constant moments where the characters will break the fourth wall and ruin all sorts of immersion that the writers could possibly have for the audience, which doesn't really allow for the narrative to thrive or flourish. It just gets stale very quickly and feels even half-baked or even corporate. Now you may be asking, why are you mentioning this? Who cares? Well, that's because that's what Red One is to a T. I once saw it at my birthday party with some friends, and outside some very wretched scenes, it was really boring. In my opinion, the film should have delved into the absurdity of an action movie trying to be cool more. Like, they try to make Santa an action hero. You have gold right there. Do something with that. But I digress. The production behind the film is far more interesting than anything you could take away in the film itself. Anything in the plot, anything at all, whatever. First of all, despite it being a Christmas movie, it was released on November 15th of 2024. Which, if I recall correctly, that's not Christmas. According to one of my sources, Red One was supposed to release on December 20th, 2023, but was pushed back due to the ongoing 2023 SAG-AFTRA union strike, or SAG-AFTRA? I don't know if that's how you say that. I hope I'm not butchering it, but I'll carry on. It was also supposed to release exclusively on Prime Video, However, that was changed when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who was in the film and the hero, villain, anti-hero, he's important. He's important to the story. Who said this in the following article from Deadline: "With Red One, our intention was to make a movie that you could enjoy on the biggest screen possible." Johnson told IMAX in an interview, "Legitimately, the biggest screens possible are IMAX. I was midway through shooting Red One and I had an opportunity to see Oppenheimer. I was in the IMAX theater where Christopher Nolan watches and screens his movies." So to make a long story short, it was just Dwayne just shilling for IMAX movie theaters. He even goes on to say, "I remember texting director Jake Kasdan a picture of my bare chest and a picture of the screen, and we realized how cool IMAX would be." It later went to streaming on Prime Video. Now, next up, I want to talk about the film's budget. As much as I want to address some of the things that Dwayne had said and done, I'll just save that for later. I'm going to save it for later. But that's not to say he's not important here. Now, the original budget for the film had cost around $200 to $250 million to make, which, that's somewhat reasonable for a high budget movie nowadays. There have been more and less expensive films. This is to be expected of a film with a really popular cast, with a lot of CGI as well. It's just the trend for mainstream movies to hire A-list actors, even if they're not suited for the role in the slightest. And that's a common complaint against Hollywood, but I don't need to talk about that today. Director Jake Kasdan managed to snag the likes of Chris Evans, Lucy Liu, J.K. Simmons as Santa, and the aforementioned Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the most perplexing being Dwayne. Out of the $200 to $250 million budget, according to Screen Rant, he was paid $50 million. To put that into perspective, that's 20 to 25% of the film's budget spent on a singular actor, just for him being there. That's just wild. Well, if that much money was invested into the film, it had to be a success, right? Well, no, it didn't. It grossed only, $185.9 million worldwide, with only $97 million being made in the box offices of the US and Canada. So, in short, it was a flop. Now, in spite of the questionable financial decisions that led us here, that doesn't change the fact Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was paid top dollar to be there. It stands to reason that his acting and behavior on set had to be superb, right? It turns out Dwayne wasn't like that at all. Instead, according to TheGuardian.com, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson confessed to urinating into bottles on the set of Red One and possibly even other films. He would also be up to 8 hours late to the set. 8 being the highest, and he would be multiple hours late to the set. The article says the following: "The Wrap also reported the star regularly peed in water bottles while making his movies. Johnson, who has previously admitted to using bottles to save time during workouts, admitted to GQ the habit extends to his movie work. 'Yeah, that happens,' responding to reports of lateness. He said, 'Yeah, that happens too, but not that amount. By the way, that was a bananas amount. That's crazy ridiculous.' He would feel so bad for doing this that he would give thousands of dollars to random on-set crew members. Dwayne Johnson even gave a singular employee $100,000 while working a Friday nights. So that leaves us today with one of the most bizarre film productions I've heard about. From the absurd premise to the poorly managed budget, giving a quarter of the budget to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to give thousands of dollars on set, constantly promoting IMAX movie screens, and to urinate in bottles. And with that, I think we close today's episode before it gets even more crazy. So, yeah. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of Reeling in the Theater. Have a lovely night. I'll see you next time. Don't be like Dwayne. Please be normal. Please don't give random people money.